Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm gonna do another movie review here. I'm gonna go back a little bit and review, I guess, what people find as the strangest Friday the 13th entry, which in my opinion it is not. But I'm gonna review Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. Now, let's get right into the plot here. We got Tommy Jarvis, who's grown up and he's kind of messed up in the head now. He's sent to this mental institution in the woods, I guess, to kind of straighten him out. And it doesn't take very long into the film. We get some slasher time by, well, actually, no, I can't say Jason yet, because the first kill isn't even by Jason. It's by some crazy fuck named Vic, who's at the crazy home, and he actually slaughters this, I don't like to use the word retarded, this challenged kid named Joey, because he just so happens to like candy bars so much, and it's kind of annoying. And you can't help but feel bad for Joey when this happens. So, for starters, I mean, that's our plot. It's pretty much just Tommy trying to, figure himself out and get better. Now, this movie has gotten lots of negative feedback over the years, and some people think it's been overdone. It's not the best in the series, but you know what? In my opinion, it is not the worst. I think Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason Goes to Hell, both of those movies are dog shit. I hated them both. I think those are probably the two worst ones in the series. I'll even take that remake over it. Actually, to be honest with you, the remake wasn't terrible. It's just I was a little disappointed with some of the kills. I'll probably do a review of that one too. But I think Friday the 13th Part 5 actually deserves a lot more credit than what it really gets. Let's be honest. It delivers what you expect from a Friday the 13th movie. It's got the gore. It's got tits. It's got that. So I don't see why this movie gets so much negativity, other than the simple fact that Jason is not the killer in this one. But had people not known that, going into this movie already, they could have easily been fooled. I didn't know that when I first saw this movie. I thought Jason was a killer. And even when I found out he wasn't, I still wasn't disappointed. This was what I expected from a Friday the 13th movie. I don't know if what hit fans hard is the fact that it wasn't Jason. But come on. It specifically says A New Beginning right there in the title. So for me, it wasn't that much of a letdown. There are some things I didn't like about the movie. Some of the characters I didn't care for. Reggie the Reckless, you might know him as Weasel from Family Matters. He was alright. He wasn't anything special, but he was alright, and he actually survives. Now, his brother Demon was actually really funny in this movie, even though he dies on the fucking toilet. And by the way, he's played by Miguel Nunez Jr. He's in Life and Juwanna Mann and all that stuff. And I actually happened to meet this guy in Chicago a couple of years ago, and he was actually pretty cool. He's got a lot of credibility as far as movies too, so I actually liked his character in this movie. I was actually a little pissed off to see him die too. We got this crazy old country bitch that lives by the crazy home. I think her name is Ethel, and she's got this bastard son too that both just annoy the hell out of me, and I couldn't wait for them to die. When not Jason, because obviously he's not the killer, when he killed those two, I actually was kind of rooting a little bit. First time I saw this movie, I watched it with my twin sister when we were younger, and I think we both just applauded the shit out of those two dying. Trying to think a little bit more I can say about the movie. Tommy Jarvis is probably the highlight of this movie. He probably is. I thought this dude who played Tommy did a phenomenal job. Especially all his ass kicking sequences where he's just flipping bastards over and punching them in the throat when they piss him off. Tommy Jarvis is just a total badass in this movie. I got nothing bad to say about him. I think the actor's name was John Shepard or something. He was great in this movie. I actually liked him. And believe it or not, I actually believed him to be the killer for part of this movie. But you know what? It's not him. It ends up being the first kid who got killed, Joey. His dad is a paramedic. And you kind of see him make this face when he pulls back the blanket and sees Joey all hacked up. And it turns out it's because Joey was his son. And as I said, you know, when I found out that Roy was the killer, I still wasn't disappointed with this movie. I am not going to knock this movie like a lot of other people have. This movie's definitely got the gore. This gore factor actually probably outshines some of the other Friday the 13th movies, which is not easy to do. And, you know, what I actually heard is that some of the kills were actually toned down. It's actually supposed to be a lot worse. I guess they didn't want that much, like, blood and gore, so they toned it down a little bit. And I think there's actually an uncensored version out there somewhere, so maybe at some point I'll try picking it up and adding it to my collection. The acting, for the most part, is pretty solid. You know, as much as I hated Ethel and the kid, the acting was actually pretty good. I don't know who the hell that guy was who was snorting up all the cocaine, who actually gets killed early on too. He was kind of annoying. But then you got that restaurant chick who takes off her top and is getting ready to go on a date with the guy who's snorting coke as he's waiting on her. And she ends up taking the coke and getting the fucking axe to the stomach. I can't really judge her acting because she wasn't in the movie long enough. I didn't like the cokehead guy, I can tell you that right now. I was really happy when he fucking got killed too. Joey he actually did a fairly good job too. I think his name is Dominic, like Bracia or something. Yeah, he did his part really well, and including the death scene. Now, you do see Corey Feldman, who was originally Tommy Jarvis, at the beginning, but it's kind of just like he's having a dream, so you kind of just get a flashback. And honestly, like back in the day, I liked most of Corey Feldman's stuff. I think he's a pretty good actor. I do like how Corey Feldman's parts really tied in with part 4 too. And trying to think of some other things that... Something else I didn't get about the movie. I really didn't get how the first few kills were people who had nothing to do with, like, Joey's death, though. Like, the first 2 people, other than Joey to die, were just people having car trouble. And some of that shit just doesn't make any sense. Like, some of the kills that Roy did, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But at its core, I mean, you're getting everything you're asking for here. And going to, like, the tit factor and the ass factor, you know, I always got to bring this up. It's always on Friday the 13th. It's really nothing impressive. The chick, Lana, who works at the restaurant, she's got really small tits. So, I mean, you going to come with a Friday the 13th, you know, movie and you got tits showing and all that, you better deliver. I was really hoping that whoever the chick name is, Pam, I was hoping she was going to get naked because she's pretty damn hot. But it never happened. And then there's another chick that gets naked too, but she wasn't anything to brag about either. And she actually, the other chick that gets naked, she actually gets a pretty bad kill. I mean, they edited it and shit, but from what I can tell, it still would give you quite a scare. I don't really think I have too much more to say about this movie other than, like, I enjoyed it, but it's still not the best Friday the 13th. It's still not a bad one, though. It's probably the 3rd or 4th worst one, but I actually enjoyed most of these movies. I'm a huge Jason Voorhees fan. You know, I've got a lot of props and autographs. I even got Kane Hodder to sign The Mask and all that, so I like these movies, but, you know, Part 5, for what it was, is one I'll go back and visit every now and then. It's just not going to make my top 10 movies. The 3rd one probably will, and maybe the 4th one even. So, I would say if you have not seen Friday the 13th Part 5, and you are okay with knowing, as I already spoiled, Jason not being the killer, so give this movie a shot. Oh, I gotta point out one more cool thing about the movie. The kill scene where, I don't know who the chick is, but her name is Violet, and she's just doing this crazy ass, like, cool dance. And then when she does this spin, she turns around, gets a hand to the throat. Roy, not Jason, picks her up, puts her on the door, and just stabs her ass in the stomach. Epic, epic Friday the 13th kill moment. So overall, I would recommend Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. If you're okay with Jason not being the killer, I'm going to give this movie, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Just for the simple fact that I did enjoy it. Yeah, 6 out of 10 is what I'll give this movie. So if you haven't seen it and you want a pretty enjoyable Friday the 13th movie, go check it out. And don't use Jason not being the killer as an excuse not to see it, because you know what? He's not the killer in the original either, and that movie was great shit.